Good morning, everybody. I am going to make a banana pudding. Now, this is not something hard to make, but I'm going to make it because there may be some people that's never made one, and I'm just going to start from the beginning to show you how I do everything. And this is an 8 by 8 disposable pan. Kind of shows you how deep it is. And this makes what I call a small batch. This will feed about 6 or 8 people, if you have a reasonable amount, that you're going to eat. It uses 1 bag of vanilla wafers, and I usually put 1.5 good-sized bananas in it. If they're smaller, I probably put 2. First thing I do is I pour some of my graham cracker or my vanilla wafers out here. And yes, wash your hands before you start. Now this is a big banana. Robert and I were talking about this last night coming home from church. It was a honker banana. They were big. And I try to get as many of these little stringy things off as I can. And if you got some bad places like that, just cut them out. It wouldn't really hurt the pudding, but it wouldn't make it taste any better either. And I don't slice these real thick. I kind of slice them a little thinner. Try to anyway. This banana is almost too ripe, but really it's probably just perfect right now for a banana pudding. And most people like more vanilla wafers than they do bananas. I like to put enough banana though that it gets a good flavor of the banana. Now it doesn't take all of these, and I kind of spread them around like this. Then I put my other vanilla wafers on top. And usually it won't take hardly the whole bag. If you put the whole bag in there, and I know this sounds kind of petty that you're quibbling over that, but if you put too much in it, it's going to be too dry. There's not going to be enough pudding to make it, keep it, good. It'll get too dry, and then it's like eating glue. So this is about all you can put in it. I've probably got 7, 8, 9 cookies left, and I'll just put them in with the next batch. I'm going to make 2 of these, but right now I'm going to go over here to the stove. Robert's going to pause you just a second, and you always get this ready first. You can't get it ready after you got the pudding cooked. You got to have this done first. So do this first, then go cook your pudding. Let me wash my hand off. Okay, for this you're going to need a whisk. And if you don't have a whisk, if you're a young cook, get you a whisk. Because this keeps pudding from getting thick and lumpy on you, okay? First thing we're going to do is we're going to put 3 cups of milk. But on one of my cups, I'm going to substitute a half a cup, a half and half. So 2.5 cups of whole milk. There's 1. 2. There's 2.5 cups of milk. Now I'm going to put in a half a cup of half and half. This is my doctoring up. Ugh, I can get that open. My arthritic hands are not wanting to cooperate. Okay, there's the half a cup of half and half. And then you put in, whoops, where's my knife? Go ahead and turn this on. Go ahead and turn your burner on once you get your milk in. And this is 2 tablespoons of butter.
Does it matter if it's salted or unsalted?
I use unsalted because it's already got salt in the pudding mix. And I put in about a teaspoon of vanilla. I add extra vanilla to this. Now, the recipe on the pudding only calls for 3 cups of whole milk. That's all it calls for. The half and half is something I use. The vanilla is something I use. And the butter is something I use. That's what I meant by doctoring it up. And this actually makes a better pudding than homemade pudding. I've made both of them. And I like this better than I do the homemade. And what we're going to do now is we're going to let this get warm. When your milk gets good and hot, then you want to keep your pudding here. Shake it down, open it up, and have it sitting here beside of you. This is one thing I think discourages young cooks is they'll try to do all this stuff while they're doing this, and you can't do that. Get that ready. Have it sitting right there beside of you. Then let your milk get hot. Now, I've seen people put the pudding in at the very beginning. And then you're stirring. Well, let your milk get good and hot. Don't let it get boiling. You don't want it boiling. But you can see when it starts to get hot. It kind of gets that little foamy look on top of it, bubbly look. And you can tell it's getting hot. Plus the butter will melt. Once that butter's melted good, when it's hot, then pour this in. And stir quickly. And then as soon as it starts bubbling good, take it off the heat. You'll kind of see what I'm going to do here. We're going to pause it for just a second till this gets a little hotter though. Okay, now the milk is almost hot enough. You can see the milk and you can see the steam coming off of it. The butter's melted. And you can kind of see the little bubbles forming in here. And when you heat the milk up, you got to be careful because it will scorch real easy. You don't want to turn it on too high heat and walk away from it. You want to continually whisk this. Okay, now we're going to put the pudding mix in. And this is a large size of the Jell-O cook and serve pudding mix. Now I'm going to turn this back up a little bit. I've got mine on 7, but you got to watch. Once it starts to boil, you got to kind of really stir it, not let it stick. Especially around these corners of your pan, that's where you really want to make sure you get, because before you know it, your pudding is stuck and scorched and you've ruined all your pudding. So once it gets towards getting about ready to boil, I'll turn the heat back down on it. Because this is a thick liquid, and if it starts boiling quickly, it's going to splatter all over you and burn you. Banana puddings are easy to make. They're not hard at all to make. And really a quick dessert. Now, when I was a little girl, everybody put meringue topping on of them. But I don't do that. I just sprinkle graham cracker crumbs on it. It keeps it from getting that thick skin over the top of the pudding. But now my granny always, and my mom did too, they always put meringue topping on them and they would brown it in the oven. Okay, it's getting thicker. You can see it's starting to thicken up here. And what you want to do is you just want to stir it slow right now and watch for those little bubbles. You don't want this to boil very much, because the more you boil this, the more of a skin that you're going to have on that pudding.
So you boil it on for 1 minute, right?
You don't boil it a minute. You just boil it a few seconds, really.
Okay.
Once it starts boiling, it's done. And then I usually will take it off the heat. Okay. See, when I stir, I can see those little bubbles coming up. You know, you can't hardly see them, but I can see them. They get little bubbles when you stir. The reason it does like that is because this is a thick liquid. It's not a thin liquid. About 30 seconds is all you need to do it.
Burns off that starch, as you say, right?
It kind of cooks the starch. I don't like the starchy taste if you don't cook it long enough to get it cooked off. Okay, now we're going to pull it over here to the side. And I'm going to stir it just a little bit. Now, it won't stick now. But you still want to stir it, just trying to cool it a little bit. Because if you pour that boiling hot stuff in on those bananas, you're just going to scald them. And it makes the bananas taste bad, I think. It makes them turn brown and mushy. If you let this cool just a little bit, if you work that whisk back and forth, kind of cool it just a little. Leave it off the burner about a minute. Stir it during that time. Plus, you're going to have a silkier, creamier pudding by doing this. Okay, I think it's about ready, so we're going to pour it over the... Let me get my bag out of the way here. Now, I usually start and go around the edges, like this. And then I'll work toward the middle. You want it to go in, all of it. And you can't pour this fast, because if you do, it's just going to run over the top and it's not going to seep down in it. And after I get all this poured in, I will take a spoon and I will kind of move the cookies around and things so that I make double sure that it gets down all of it. And I may have made this one too full. It won't hurt it.
Oh, it's spilling over.
Look what it's doing. Yeah.
Look at it.
Usually Robert's doing the pouring for me and I'm already checking this.
She don't like messes, people.
I hate messes. But I try to make sure ahead of time. See, if I could have got over here and done this earlier, it wouldn't have poured out, but I couldn't. It'll be okay, though, guys. It's fine.
Don't cry over spilt milk, right?
No. This is not something worth getting upset over. Okay, I'm trying to make sure all the pudding's down in there good. Now, hand me my graham cracker crumbs over there, honey, please.
I'm going to hit pause because this is going to jerk this camera back.
Okay, now we've got our graham cracker crumbs. And usually you can go around the edge of this and kind of clean it off. You get a paper towel here. Clean it off just a little bit. And it will be okay. That off. Now I'm going to sprinkle some graham cracker crumbs on top of it. I don't put a lot on it. Maybe a couple tablespoons. I just try to kind of cover the top, and it keeps it from getting that dry skin on it. Now, now, what did I tell you about these? I should have left out 2 or 3 more, and it would have been fine. So, you know, as many times as I have made this, you can still mess up, guys. So, see, it doesn't mean you're a bad cook if you mess up a little bit or you overcalculate or undercalculate. It didn't hurt the pudding. It won't hurt the pudding. And it'll be fine. Pudding looks good, and I'm sure they'll enjoy it today. I hope you all will try to make you a banana pudding, and if you do, put a picture on there, let me see it. Talk to you guys later. Bye.